Hey YouTube, what's up? It's Tuesday, November 18th, and this is Jennifer with the 5 Awesome Musicians, and I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about some of answers to some questions by my fellow awesome musicians. So let's start out with Ashley's video. First of all, I have to say I'm really admiring the fact that you are auditioning for the Army Band. I think that's really awesome, so that deserves a double thumbs up. Way to go, Ashley. In Hannah's post, she talked about using Latin percussion with general music students because she was in her percussion class, and they took a morning where they got to play Latin percussion instruments, which was really cool. I think Latin percussion instruments are great for students to be able to play. It's important that students are making music every day in ways where they're not just sitting and singing, but they're also playing instruments, and it's a really nice extension of learning. So, Hannah, when you asked about active hands-on learning, students learn through doing. Excuse me. So how can we help them do things? Well, a great way to do music is to play instruments. So Latin instruments, any kind of rhythmic instruments are great for that. Whenever I taught notation, because I was in a school where it was important to teach music notation, I made sure that students were playing instruments to accompany the notation so that they were really truly learning that the signs have musical meaning behind them and what that meant and how that was put together as a process. So that was pretty cool. You can do some pretty cool world drumming music stuff with Latin instruments and get some really nice groove patterns going with a little older students too. So it's a great source for that. So I am all about that. Active music making, fantastic. Angela, I love the picture you drew. It made me really happy. You address students who are quitting because they don't like band. I don't think as teachers we can make our students like something. However, we can work to create an environment where students enjoy being. So I think that all kids need a niche where they feel comfortable and they're happy and they're enjoying what they're doing. Some students will find that place in music, but other students might find it in sports or academic team or a math team or volunteering in the library or maybe something outside of school. A lot of students will find this in music, and a lot of students' spaces for their activities and learning kind of mesh. Different things fit together for them. So some students might be involved in music and lots of other things in their life that they've woven together. Some students might only choose one. But I think it's important that we realize that music ensembles aren't for everyone. We give everyone an opportunity to be able to participate in the musical ensemble. There are no factors that prohibit students from participating. However, ultimately, they get to make a choice. Now, interestingly enough, as for kids quitting, one of the districts I taught in, we had a rule that students were in the ensemble they registered for a school year. Sometimes we would allow some certain exceptions at the semester, but they always had to stick with it for at least that semester point, primarily because sometimes middle schoolers and upper elementary students, when they're just starting, they fall into these points where they get really frustrated and things aren't necessarily easy, and my colleagues and I didn't want that to be a determining factor for students deciding to quit, because we want them to understand and know and learn that challenges can be overcome and can be shouldn't end learning. Challenges are a process, and we work through them, and we want to help them through those. So that worked out really well for us and our particular students. It might not work out everywhere, but it worked really, really well for us. I think it's also really important to build a sense of community with your students. This is important for students. Students need to feel a part of a group. Also, it's important that you create an environment that makes you happy, because if you're excited, you're enthusiastic, and you're happy, it's going to be contagious. That excitement for learning, if you can share your personal inner excitement and happiness, your students are going to find that they feed off of that, and that it's a place that they want to be too. If you're not happy there and you don't want to be there, it's really hard to sell it to your students. So as much as you can do that, that's really great. I want to say double thumbs up to the experience that Hannah and Ashley shared with Bandcamp. The more experience you get working with students and seeing how different teachers run their programs and teach in their classrooms, and what's out there, and kind of start critically thinking about who you are as a teacher and your identity as a teacher and how you're going to handle your classroom when you're out teaching, the better prepared you're really going to be. So I just think it's great that you're finding ways to get experience teaching. I think you'll find it really helpful when you go to your first job to have that experience under your belt. Being a teacher is really a part of most people's identity. And you have to figure out what that identity is, how you see yourself as a teacher. Teaching is incredibly rewarding, as Chris said. And it's really cool because you get to see your growth of your students, especially in music teaching. There were students that I got to teach from the time that they were in kindergarten until all the way through 8th grade. And that was just absolutely wonderful to get to be a part of all of their growing and their musical growth and their learning, and watch them change and grow into people with lots of interests and personality. I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. It was really a great experience to be a part of that. Lastly, Chris made me think of something that I did starting my first year of teaching, and that was creating a warm, fuzzy, happy folder. Might sound a little cheesy. However, this got me through some really tough times my first couple years teaching, because not all of the time was great. Sometimes I had a really bad day. Just like in anything else, some people have bad days. So when things got frustrating and I was feeling down, I would pull out my happy folder, and in it I would put things that students had given me, letters from parents, anything that reminded me why I do what I do. And I put all of those in a envelope, and a big envelope, and put them in my file folder. And I have that still, but it's at home in my office at home. I wish I could have had that with you to share, but maybe that'll be something for another week. But having those things to remember are really great. I think that's answers to most of the questions over the past week. We had a lot to think about. I look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday as we get ready for Thanksgiving. So have a great week, and I'll see you all next Tuesday. I'm awesome musicians with an X that's just our way, and that's what makes us awesome. What else?